Night Watch Archives. Case File 008. The Mercer Williams House, Murder, Memory, and the House That Wouldn't Let Go. A house made famous by death. Some haunted houses become famous because of ghost stories. Others become famous because of history. The Mercer Williams house became famous because history and tragedy collided beneath the same roof. Standing prominently on Monterey Square in Savannah, Georgia, the mansion is one of the city's most recognizable landmarks. Its elegant Italianate architecture, its towering windows, its red brick facade, its sweeping staircases, everything about the home reflects wealth, refinement, and southern grandeur. By daylight, visitors admire its beauty. By night, many wonder what still walks its halls. Unlike the Sorrelweed House, whose haunted reputation grew slowly across generations, the Mercer Williams house entered the national spotlight almost overnight. Not because someone reported seeing a ghost, because someone died. On May 2nd, 1981, Danny Hansford, the young assistant and companion of antiques dealer Jim Williams, was shot inside the mansion. The shooting occurred in Williams's study. Within hours, police surrounded the house. Within days, newspapers across the country carried the story. What followed became one of the most remarkable criminal cases in Georgia history. Jim Williams would stand trial 4 separate times for murder. 3 convictions were overturned. A 4th trial ended in acquittal. Nearly a decade after the shooting, the legal battle finally ended. The public fascination did not. In 1994, author John Berendt published Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. Part true crime, part portrait of Savannah society. The book became an international bestseller. Millions of readers discovered the Mercer Williams house for the first time. The mansion quickly transformed from a beautiful historic residence into one of the most recognizable haunted homes in America. The murder of Danny Hansford, the lengthy trials of Jim Williams, and the publication of Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil permanently reshaped the house's place in Savannah history. Yet something often becomes lost beneath the murder. The house itself is older, far older. Construction began in 1860, when General Hugh W. Mercer commissioned one of Savannah's finest homes. The outbreak of the Civil War interrupted construction. The mansion stood unfinished for years before finally being completed after the war. Ironically, General Mercer never lived inside the house that still bears his name. Ownership changed. Families came and went. The mansion accumulated history long before it accumulated ghost stories. That history matters, because Night Watch Archives investigates places, not headlines. A murder can make a building famous. It cannot by itself make a building haunted. Tonight, we ask a different question. Why do visitors continue reporting strange experiences inside the Mercer Williams house decades after the trials ended? Is it the lingering weight of violence? The power of expectation created by one of America's most famous true crime books? Or has something within the house refused to move on? Tonight, we open the file. not to retry a murder case, but to investigate why one of Savannah's most beautiful homes continues leaving visitors with the unmistakable feeling that someone is still inside. Long before murder, long before ghost tours, long before millions of readers learned its address, the Mercer Williams house was already part of Savannah's history. Construction began in 1860. General Hugh W. Mercer commissioned architect John S. Norris to design a residence worthy of one of Savannah's most prestigious locations. Monterey Square already stood among the city's most elegant neighborhoods. Towering live oaks shaded its walkways. The Pulaski Monument rose from its center. The surrounding homes reflected the wealth and ambition of antebellum Savannah. The Mercer Mansion was intended to become its crown jewel. History intervened. Only months after construction began, the Civil War erupted. Labor disappeared. Materials became scarce. Money was redirected toward survival rather than architecture. The unfinished mansion stood as an empty shell while the nation tore itself apart. By the time construction resumed years later, everything had changed. The Confederacy had fallen. Savannah had survived General Sherman's march largely intact. The economy had collapsed. General Mercer no longer intended to occupy the home he had commissioned. Ownership passed to others. The house eventually reached completion in 1868, but the Mercer family never truly called it home. Over the decades, the mansion welcomed several different owners. Each left a mark upon the property. Each carried away only part of its story. Unlike many historic Southern homes that remained within a single family for generations, the Mercer house experienced constant transition. Perhaps that continual change quietly shaped the atmosphere visitors describe today. Perhaps it simply reflected Savannah itself. By the 20th century, many of the grand homes surrounding Monterey Square had fallen into decline. Preservation became a race against time. Entire neighborhoods risked disappearing beneath modern development. Then, in 1969, Jim Williams entered the story. Williams was already becoming one of Savannah's most influential preservationists, an accomplished antiques dealer with extraordinary vision. He believed the city's architectural heritage deserved saving. Over the course of his career, he restored more than 50 historic buildings. Few individuals shaped modern Savannah as profoundly as he did. The Mercer house became his masterpiece. Room by room, Williams restored the mansion to extraordinary condition. Rare furniture returned. Fine artwork filled the walls. Marble fireplaces gleamed once more. Crystal chandeliers illuminated rooms that had stood neglected for decades. The house became famous not only for its beauty, but for Williams himself. He hosted lavish gatherings attended by politicians, artists, collectors, and Savannah's social elite. For many, the Mercer Williams house symbolized the city's remarkable rebirth. Yet behind the elegant dinners, the polished antiques, and the glittering holiday celebrations, something else lingered. Guests occasionally mentioned unexplained cold spots. Others described feeling watched while standing alone near the grand staircase. Staff spoke quietly of footsteps echoing through empty rooms late at night. These stories never attracted widespread attention. Not yet. They remained little more than whispers shared among employees and close friends. Only after the events of 1981, when Danny Hansford was killed inside the mansion, did those earlier stories begin receiving renewed attention. Suddenly, every unexplained sound, every strange feeling, every flickering light acquired new meaning. Night Watch Archives recognizes how easily tragedy reshapes memory. People naturally reinterpret the past through the lens of later events. That possibility must always be considered. Yet one question continues to surface. If unusual experiences truly occurred before the murder, then perhaps the Mercer Williams house had already begun building its haunted reputation, long before the crime that made it famous. History explains why people visit the Mercer Williams house. It does not explain why so many leave believing they experience something they cannot explain. Unlike many of Savannah's haunted locations, the reports associated with the Mercer Williams house are remarkably restrained. There are few dramatic apparitions, few terrifying encounters. Instead, visitors describe something quieter, a persistent feeling that someone else occupies the house, watching, waiting, remembering. One of the most common reports involves the grand staircase. Guests occasionally pause while climbing the steps, not because they are tired, but because they suddenly feel as though someone is standing directly behind them. When they turn, no one is there. The sensation disappears almost immediately. Yet many describe it in nearly identical terms. Others report unusual temperature changes. Entire rooms remain comfortably warm, except for one small area where the air feels noticeably colder. Investigators have documented similar claims for decades. Whether those changes result from the building's age, air movement, or something less easily explained remains uncertain. Mirrors also appear repeatedly throughout eyewitness accounts. Visitors have described glimpsing movement reflected behind them, only to discover the room empty when they turn around. Others report seeing what appears to be a person standing in an adjacent doorway, visible only in the reflection. These experiences are brief, never more than a moment, long enough to remember, too brief to verify. Staff members have quietly added their own observations over the years. Employees closing the museum after evening events have described hearing footsteps on upper floors after everyone had left. Others report doors found open that had been carefully locked only minutes earlier. A few have mentioned faint music drifting through otherwise silent rooms. None claim these events occur regularly, but enough have experienced them that the stories continue circulating among those who know the house best. Visitors and staff have long reported subtle phenomena including footsteps, cold spots, reflections, and an overwhelming sensation of being watched inside the Mercer Williams house. Of course, no discussion of the Mercer Williams house can avoid the question everyone asks. Who, if anyone, is said to remain there? For many, the answer is Danny Hansford. Witnesses occasionally describe seeing a young man standing near the staircase or briefly reflected in glass before disappearing. Others report an overwhelming feeling of sadness concentrated near the portions of the house associated with the 1981 shooting. Different visitors, who know little about the details of the case, sometimes identify the same locations as feeling unusually heavy. Others believe the lingering presence belongs not to Hansford, but to Jim Williams himself. After all, Williams devoted years of his life restoring the mansion. Following his acquittal, he returned home. Then, only months later, he died unexpectedly in the same room where Hansford had been killed years before. To believers, the coincidence feels impossible to ignore. Some claim Williams simply never left the house he fought so hard to preserve. Yet another possibility deserves equal consideration. Perhaps neither man remains. Perhaps the house itself, layered with more than a century and a half of history, simply carries memory exceptionally well. Night Watch archives cannot distinguish between spirit, memory, expectation, or psychology. What we can document is that the experiences continue. Different visitors, different decades, remarkably similar reports. And as every investigator eventually learns, consistency does not prove the supernatural, but it does justify continued investigation. Every haunted location eventually reaches the same crossroads. History points in one direction, legend points in another. The Mercer Williams house stands precisely at that intersection. Unlike abandoned hospitals or forgotten prisons, the house remains beautifully preserved. Visitors walk through carefully restored rooms filled with priceless antiques. Guides emphasize architecture, art, and Savannah's remarkable preservation movement. The experience is first and foremost historical, yet history never fully silences the stories. Every tour eventually arrives at the events of 1981, the shooting, the trials, the extraordinary legal battle that followed. From there, the conversation almost always shifts toward the unexplained. Guests begin asking whether Danny Hansford still walks the halls, whether Jim Williams remains inside the home he spent decades restoring, whether the strange feelings reported by visitors are simply expectation or something more. Night Watch Archives approaches those questions with restraint. The murder undeniably altered the public's perception of the house. After Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil introduced millions of readers to the Mercer Williams house, tourism increased dramatically. Ghost tours incorporated the mansion into nearly every route through Monterey Square. Paranormal investigators arrived carrying cameras, audio recorders, electromagnetic sensors, each hoping to document what earlier visitors claimed to have experienced. Some reported success: photographs containing unexplained figures, electronic voice phenomena, sudden equipment malfunctions. Others spent entire evenings documenting nothing unusual at all. That inconsistency is common in nearly every serious paranormal investigation. If hauntings exist, they rarely perform on command. Monterey Square itself seems to contribute to the atmosphere. After sunset, the crowds diminish. The live oaks cast long shadows across the brick pathways. Gas lamps illuminate only portions of the square. The Mercer Williams house dominates the corner, its upper windows reflecting little more than darkness. Many visitors describe the square becoming unusually quiet despite remaining in the heart of Savannah's historic district. Whether that stillness is environmental, psychological, or something impossible to measure, it shapes every investigation. Accounts from guides, caretakers, and visitors consistently describe Monterey Square as taking on a markedly different atmosphere after dark, reinforcing the mansion's enduring reputation. Perhaps the most intriguing reports come not from ghost hunters, but from the guides themselves. Night after night, year after year, they tell the same history, stand in the same places, watch thousands of visitors react. Many eventually develop stories of their own, a microphone that suddenly fills with static while discussing the murder. Streetlights flickering as groups gather outside the house. An unexpected chill passing through otherwise warm summer evenings. None of these experiences establish proof. Neither should they be dismissed simply because they resist easy explanation. They become part of the accumulated record, and that record continues growing. That may be the Mercer Williams house's greatest mystery, not whether it is haunted, but why the reports remain remarkably consistent despite changing generations of witnesses. The names change, the visitors change, the investigators change. The experiences remain surprisingly familiar. And that is often where the strongest investigations begin, not with certainty, but with patterns. Some houses become museums, some become landmarks. A very few become part of the identity of an entire city. The Mercer Williams house is one of them. Its walls have witnessed more than a century and a half of Savannah's history. The Civil War interrupted its construction. Generations of owners shaped its character. Jim Williams restored it from neglect. Danny Hansford died within it. Those facts are no longer debated. They belong to the historical record. What remains uncertain is everything that followed. Throughout this investigation, we have examined the documented history of the mansion, its construction, its preservation, the murder that transformed it into an international headline, the eyewitness reports that continued decades after the trials ended. No investigation has established that the Mercer Williams house is haunted. No scientific study has identified a measurable paranormal cause for the experiences reported there. At the same time, no conventional explanation has fully accounted for why visitors with no connection to one another continue describing remarkably similar sensations. The feeling of being watched, footsteps on empty floors, movement reflected in mirrors, a sudden heaviness settling over particular rooms. Perhaps the answer lies in psychology. Historic homes naturally invite expectation. Visitors arrive aware of the murder, aware of the book, aware of Savannah's reputation as one of America's most haunted cities. Expectation influences perception. That possibility deserves serious consideration. Yet there is another possibility. Not necessarily that spirits remain, but that places can preserve memory in ways we do not yet understand. Night Watch Archives has encountered this pattern before. Battlefields, hospitals, historic homes, locations marked by extraordinary human experience often seem to affect those who enter them. Whether that effect originates from environment, emotion, architecture, or something still beyond explanation, remains one of the central questions of paranormal investigation. The Mercer Williams house continues inviting that question. Every day, visitors admire its beauty. Every evening, ghost tours gather outside its gates. Some leave having experienced nothing unusual. Others leave convinced they carried something home besides photographs. Neither experience invalidates the other. Both become part of the continuing record. For Night Watch Archives, this concludes one investigation within the Savannah collection. The Mercer Williams house is only one chapter in a city where nearly every square, every church, every alley, and every historic home carries stories that refuse to fade. The Old Pink House, Colonial Park Cemetery, the Pirate's House, the Marshall House, each possesses its own history, its own witnesses, its own unanswered questions. Each deserves its own file, because Savannah is not haunted by a single house. It is haunted by an entire city that remembers remarkably well. Until the next file is opened, the Mercer Williams house remains exactly where history left it. Beautiful, silent, watching. Case file 008 is now closed. The truth waits in the dark.